There's a bridge in Skye, Scotland. It's called the Skye Bridge, not so much because it goes to the sky, because it goes to Skye Island, the Isle of Skye. So it's going to open to the public October 16th, 1995, before people would have to ferry from one side to the other or swim across. You couldn't just drive or walk across. So that helps. Here's an overview of the thing. So that's the Skye Bridge, October 16th, 1995. Another big thing that happened October 16th, 1995 is U.S. Grant is going to take over all the Western armies. So in 1863, you had U.S. Grant. He was given force. October 16th, 1863, U.S. Grant was given command of the Union forces in the West. On October 16th, 1863, U.S. Grant was given command of the military division of the Mississippi, which included all the Union armies between the Mississippi River and the Appalachian Mountains. On October 16th, 1863, U.S. Grant received word from General-in-Chief Henry Halleck that he had been promoted to command the military division of the Mississippi, which encompassed the departments of the Ohio, the Cumberland, and the Tennessee. Major General U.S. Grant essentially took charge of all the U.S. Army forces between the Mississippi River and the Appalachian Mountains. He was ordered to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where he would later lead the Chattanooga campaign of November 1863. So they just lost Chickamauga, and that's right there by Chattanooga. So Chickamauga was lost September. He's going to get elevated in October, and then November there's going to be the Chattanooga campaign. And then I heard the way the campaign was he was just basically feigning attack in the middle and then just going around attacking the flanks. The Battle of Cowpens is said to be the most perfect battle ever. You had a bunch of regulars that went out there. No, not regulars. You had volunteers. You had just sort of nobodies. I think that they said actually all you got to do is just go out there and fire one shot. So you go out there and look like an army. You fire one shot and then you start to retreat. And then the British, they would want to pursue because they want to vanquish the entire army. They want to crush the whole army instead of just being happy that they won that battle, right? They took that area, they took that land, they are occupying it. But when it looks like regulars are firing and then they start to flee, well, then they're saying, oh shit, we could just chase them. But when they give chase, well shit, the regular army is just sitting there in the wake, in the flanks, ready to descend upon them. So that's an interesting military tactic. You go at them as if you are going to have a nice, strong, pitched battle with a bunch of volunteers. They give chase, and then they start to chase them because they're bloodthirsty. And when they give chase to the volunteers, your regular army is right there to crush them. The Chickamauga defeat, September 1863, is going to happen. Then U.S. Grant, Ulysses S. Grant, is given command of all the Union forces in the West after the Chickamauga defeat. The Battle of Chickamauga fought September 18th to the 20th, 1863, between the U.S. Army and the Confederate forces in the American Civil War. It marked the end of a U.S. Army offensive, the Chickamauga campaign, in southern Tennessee and northwestern Georgia. It was the first major battle of the war fought in Georgia and the most significant U.S. defeat in the Western theater. And it involved the highest number of casualties after the Battle of Gettysburg. A total of 33,000 Americans combined with Confederates were killed. 33,000. That's an average of 11,000 per day. Union losses were 16,170. Confederate losses were 18,454. Now, the Confederates are said to have won, but they're going to lose 20% of their forces. They won because the Union had withdrew. But in terms of body count, more Confederates were killed, 18,454, compared to 16,170. And then because the population of the Union was so much bigger, I heard that the prisoners of war, they wanted to get their Confederate prisoners back, whereas the Union were kind of saying, well, we got more people. So they weren't going to let them take hostages and use those hostages as leverage. They were just going to keep on sending more of the, I guess, the poor draftees of New York City into battle. If you had like $300, you could get out of the draft. So that was the highest losses of any battle in the Western Theater during the war, and after Gettysburg, it was the second highest of the war. Among the dead were Confederate generals Benjamin Hardin Helm, husband of American Lincoln's sister-in-law James Deshler, and Preston Smith, and Union General William H. Lytle, Confederate General John Bell Hood. This fucking low-level douchebag pile of shit. He had already lost the use of his left arm from a wound at Gettysburg, was severely wounded with a bullet in his leg, requiring it to be amputated. So that's one victory from the Battle of Chickamauga. You had to amputate John Bell Hood's leg. Although the Confederates were technically the victors, driving Rosecrans from the field, Bragg had not achieved his objectives of destroying Rosecrans or of restoring Confederate control of East Tennessee. And the Confederate Army suffered casualties that they could ill afford. U.S. Grant, I want to say, was born something else. I want to do one science event and one political event. U.S. Grant, he was the 18th president of the United States, right? He's there to promote his, promote Lincoln's, that's what Frederick Douglass said, was that he's the one that encompasses Lincoln's spirit the best out of all the candidates. Early life, I guess I once heard, Hiram Ulysses S. Grant. So what's S? Ulysses S. Grant? He was born Hiram Ulysses Grant. What does S mean? Where did this S come from? It's cooler to call him U.S. Grant, right? He enlisted under the name U.S. Grant, which I don't understand why. Uncle Sam, U.S. Uncle Sam, he became known among his army colleagues as Sam. So the Thomas Hamer had altered his name, so Grant was listed under U.S. Grant, not Hiram Ulysses, but Ulysses S. What does S stand for? Who gives a shit, huh? Sam, I guess. Ulysses Sam Grant. But Hiram, I don't know if Hiram Grant would have gone anywhere. Skye Bridge, a little bit of background of Skye Bridge. It's a road bridge over a Loch Osh, Scotland, connected the Isle of Skye to the island of Eilean Bond. The name is also used for the whole Skye crossing, which further connects Eilean Bond to the mainland across the Carrick Viaduct. The crossing forms part of the A87. Traditionally, the usual route from the mainland to Skye was the shortest crossing with a length of around 500 meters, 1,640 feet across the sound between the villages of Kyle of Lochcosh on the mainland and Kyleakin on the island's east coast. A ferry service operated from around 1600, run by private operators and latterly by Caledonian MacBrain. So there's a toll design and construction, a background, a toll controversy. What is the toll? It was unpopular. I have to go around here and I got to pay a damn toll. A round trip would cost, what is that, pounds, 11 pounds, which was 14 times the trip price charged by the 4th Street Bridge. Is that the road at the River Forth? The bridge at the River Forth? Probably, right? It's much more bigger. It's got the big trellises. But it's important to have bridges. Bridges are an important scientific achievement. This is technology. Let's carry on with our... So U.S. Grant is now the lead commander of all the forces of the West. In the U.S. Revolution, it was almost the West kind of conquered the entire Northwest. So whereas everybody's worried about their own asses and their own houses on the East Coast, from the Appalachian to the Mississippi was U.S. Grant. And then because of, U.S. Grant's promotion shifted the commanders. Let's see here. October 16th, 1863. Chickamauga is just south of Chattanooga, just south of the Tennessee River in Georgia. Confederate Bragg lost 20% of his men at Chickamauga. October 16th, 1863. The military division of the Mississippi was created. U.S. Grant met with Secretary of War Edwin Stanton, who informed the general of the new military division and impending command. By October 18th, U.S. Grant held command. U.S. Grant commanded the departments of the Ohio and the Tennessee and the Cumberland, and included all Union armies between the Mississippi River and the Appalachian Mountains. U.S. Grant's promotion shifted the commanders in order of battle in the military division. General William Tecumseh Sherman commanded the Department of the Tennessee, while General Ambrose Burnside controlled the Department of the Ohio, and General Rosecrans briefly held the Department of the Cumberland. One of U.S. Grant's first action in his new position fired General Rosecrans. He lost the Battle of Chickamauga and put General George H. Thomas in command of the Cumberland Party, or the Cumberland Military, the Cumberland Department of the Military, partly in response to troubles back in 1862 and partly due to the Union defeat at Chickamauga. U.S. Grant fired General Rosecrans and had Stanton and Halleck's approval to change the commanders with the new military division and department commanders. U.S. Grant looked to the maps and military situation in the autumn of 1863. Chattanooga needed relief, and the Union hold on East Tennessee dangled precariously. And Confederate Generals Bragg and Longstreet could also cause him trouble. So that's great for America, great for U.S. Grant. He wins the Union forces of the West, the Department of the Mississippi. And because of that, we're going to win the Civil War. He's going to become the president. And his face is on the money. And, you know, U.S. Grant, they said he was just a drunk from Ohio. So, you know, that could be a bad thing. But it also, for all you drunks in Ohio, you could become the most important military general in all U.S. history. If you just pick the right side. When Lincoln is killed, U.S. Grant is going to say he was the greatest man I ever knew. It was almost like, for a long time, only Lincoln and Grant were each other's friends. He's like, man, I don't think he's got a friend in the world besides me. And then U.S. Grant was looking at Lincoln and was like, damn, I don't think he's got a friend in the world except for me. So you needed them both, right? You needed the civilian commander, then you needed the awesome general. And he says, compared to, who was that one fucking political asshole? I don't know. He ran against him, the Democrat McClellan. So U.S. Grant compared to McClellan, he was like, Lincoln says to McClellan, if you have an army, you know, if you don't want to use that army, well, I'd like to borrow it for a while. And he had to do the executive order and said, okay, we want you to move on this date, because he just kept saying, no, you have to figure out the retreat lines and the supply lines, and he's eating fucking caviar every goddamn day. Meanwhile, U.S. Grant is down there in Tennessee conquering different forts. I forget how did Grant begin? I forget the exact battles that he had won, but he won like two really important battles in the West, the so-called West at the time. I want to say it was in southern Kentucky, Tennessee, right around that area. So let's take a look at it. Let's see. U.S. Grant victories. Battle of Belmont, Battle of Fort Henry, Battle of Fort Donelson. That was one of his biggest, Fort Henry and Fort Donelson. So he won Fort Henry in Kentucky. Then he won the Battle of Fort Donelson. And it's like, well, shit, at least U.S. Grant fights. So compared him to McClellan, at least U.S. Grant fights. I want somebody who's going to use the army. I want somebody who's going to, and not only did he fight with lesser, you know, less money, less people, less arms, less political power. He wasn't that close to the president at the time. He's going to go to the Battle of Shiloh, Vicksburg campaign, the Battle of Chattanooga. Lincoln gives Grant command of the Union Army. So eventually he takes the Western Department, but eventually he's going to take the entire goddamn army. And then there's the Overland Campaign of Virginia. So there's a whole bunch of important battles there. Vicksburg Campaign, Mississippi, Battle of Shiloh. Why do I feel like Battle of Shiloh was not a Battle of Shiloh? What happens at the Battle of Shiloh? It was, U.S. Grant was there. It was in Hardin County. Southwest Tennessee, part of the Western Theater, General P.G.T. Beauregard. And then who's going to win? You had the Army of the Tennessee, Army of the Ohio, U.S. Grant, Don Carlos Buell versus Albert Sidney Johnston and P.G.T. Beauregard with the Army of the Mississippi. Does it tell us who was the victor? Not really. But more Union people died. 13,000 Union versus 11,000 Confederates. So in terms of body count, you might say that the Union had lost. It was one of the costliest engagements of the Civil War. Up to that point, 24,000 casualties. Made it one of the bloodiest battles in the entire war. See, aftermath. What are we going to say? Confederate, the battle was fought. I don't know who won the Battle of Shiloh. I guess overall America won, right? America strong, America first. It's weird how all these fucking America first fuckers are the same people that wave the Confederate flag today. Can you imagine winning the damn Civil War only to have motherfuckers wave the Confederate flag today?